Speaking of the flood, speaking
Yes.
of Noach and rain. First of all, it's raining here now in Israel off and on. It hasn't really
Yeah.
started yet, like the really heavy rains, but we do sense the change in the weather for sure. And like I said, there's very little fall here. Pretty much goes into the rainy season. The thing is that on the it's not really the last day of Sukkot. It's Shmini Atzeret, which is the 8th day of assembly. The day that seals the Tishrei holidays, which here in the land of Israel is the same as Simchat Torah, and the diaspora is 2 separate days. But on that day, we have a special blessing for the coming rain. That because there's an idea that that's like the Rosh Hashanah of rain. That day in Hashem's Beit Din, as it were, that's the day that he makes his verdict for the rainfall of the coming year. And rain is so important in the land of Israel because, as Torah tells us, it's not like the land of Egypt that's watered by the Nile. It is a completely different kind of relationship that the land of Israel has with water. It's very intimate. It's directly connected to Hashem himself, as it were. And in fact, the Talmud says that all the lands of the world receive their water through the land of Israel. That like the rains fall in the land of Israel, and then the spill-off, as it were, goes to the rest of the world. It's this whole system of divine providence because of the preciousness of the land of Israel in Hashem's eyes. So water is very special topic in the land of Israel. It's not, sometimes people are like inconvenienced by rain, and they are kind of like, in a bad mood, like rainy days and Mondays kind of thing, because the rain is a hassle, you're late for your appointment, you step in a puddle and traffic and that kind of thing. But the point is that in the land of Israel, rain is considered to be a tremendous blessing, and it's also synonymous with all blessing, really, because in Torah we find that rain is basically Hashem's reward, for following His word. So, because of all of that, it's rare that you'll find anybody that in the land of Israel that will ever complain about the rain. Even if it's leaking in your house, even if it's really, causing you a hassle, nobody really complains about it because everybody understands that we really, really need the rain. So that's how important it is. So how does it work? So on that last day after Sukkot, on Shmini Atzeret, which is translated as the 8th day of Solemn Assembly, that's the day that we have this beautiful prayer basically beseeching Hashem for the rainfall of the coming year, but we don't start asking for it yet. That's called the day that we mention Hashem's capacity to start giving rain, but we don't ask for it yet. And then there comes a day when every day we begin really asking for rain in our daily prayers 3 times a day, and that is basically exactly 2 weeks after Sukkot. That is the 7th day of the month of Mar Cheshvan. That's when we begin here in the land of Israel. That's when we begin actually, proactively asking Hashem to give us rain. Why? What is it about that day? So it's really amazing. First of all, Rosh Chodesh Mar Cheshvan is Tuesday and Wednesday. This week, October 25th and 26th, is the beginning of the new month of Mar Cheshvan, which is another topic, and it's so important, and God willing, we'll have ample opportunity during the coming month to discuss it. It's so unusual, the month, because it's such a contrast from the previous month of Tishrei that was so full of all of these action-oriented commandments and so colorful with the Sukkah, with Rosh Hashanah, with Shofar, Yom Kippur, and the Etrog, and all of a sudden, Mar Cheshvan, there's no holidays at all, really, and it's actually a very mystical idea because this month, coming month it's even called Mar Cheshvan, which kind of means like Mr. Cheshvan. Mar means both bitter, and it's also used in modern Hebrew as like sir or like Mr. So it actually connotes a certain kind of distance, like formality, like, oh, hello there, like a Mr., as opposed to Tishrei, which was like an intimate hug which is actually the sukkah is like representative of Hashem's hug. Cheshvan is like, whoa, it's like there's a little bit of like a cooling off there, right? But yet there is something else going on altogether. Like I said, we'll talk about that another time. But what I wanted to say is the reason that we start asking for rain proactively on the seventh day of Mar Cheshvan, which happens to be Tuesday, November 1st, is a very beautiful idea. It's because in the time of the Holy Temple, so the Jews from all over the ancient world, from the diaspora as well, that were not living in the land, would come up to the temple for the pilgrimage. And those basically that were considered to be living in the furthest point, the most far-flung point of the diaspora in the time of the temple was Babylon. And so those that came from Babylon up to the temple to celebrate would return. This is in the time of the Second Temple when a lot of Jews remained in Babylon, but yet they came for the festivals. It would take them 2 weeks to get back. And we don't want that they should be caught in a downpour while they're on the road. That's how much faith we have that Hashem will answer our prayers right away. So we say we're going to wait the maximum of 2 weeks to let all those folks get home and get inside, and then we'll start asking for rain. So first of all, on the simplest level, I've always found that idea to be so evocative and so beautiful because it shows that despite the fact that the temple is not standing, not only have we never lost our connection with it and never lost our consciousness of it and never lost its preeminence in our lives, but the very calendar is really determined by what we could call this Holy Temple consciousness, that even though the temple's not standing, like I'm going to wait before I say Mashiv HaRuach HaMored HaGoshen, which means that Hashem causes the wind to blow and the rain to fall. I'm sorry, that we begin saying on Shemini Atzeret, but I'm not going to say that Hashem should give us rain until the last of the stragglers are back. All this to say, this is I really have to share with you something a little bit weird, in my opinion. So that day has a certain kind of character, it has a certain kind of resonance, the seventh day of Mar Cheshvan, because that's the day that we begin beseeching Hashem for rain, so it has a certain power. So I'm always interested, when does that day fall out? So I have to tell you, I must be the only one that thinks that this is noteworthy, because I haven't heard anybody else mention it.
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it the day that the rains began in the flood of Noah?
No, that was the 17th of Mar Cheshvan.
17th, okay, yeah.
No, I'll get to that, because rain is really a major theme of our program today. But no, what I find remarkable, that again, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy because I don't hear people making big issue of it, but it is election day here in Israel.
All right, that explains everything.
Right?
Yeah.
So and in general, whenever they declare an election, I'm always very compelled to see what that is on the Hebrew calendar, because I think that they just I don't think that you have any necessarily special Torah scholars that are consulted about when would be an auspicious time for the elections, if there could be such a thing anyway, this being the 5th election in 3 years. Don't get me started about that. I'm not even going there. I'm really not going there at all. But, so what does this mean? Because the idea of asking for rain on that day, which is a powerful spiritual motif, is basically, again, rain is all what we call the shefa, which means the influx of divine blessing. Why doesn't anybody complain about the rain? Well, because it's understood that it is synonymous with prosperity. That's how badly we need it here. That's how badly the land needs it, And so the rainy months are a very, very big blessing. Everybody gets very excited when the water level of the Sea of Galilee rises and everything. We need the water. So, we also need leadership very, very badly. We also need true, fearless, Torah-based, Jewish, authentic, Hebrew leadership. Amen. And so, I don't know, is Hashem telling me something by the fact that by some fluke or not, the election day this year is going to be on the very day that is synonymous with Hashem opening the beautiful gates of rain and giving us what we need. So go know what will happen. But I thought that was something worth mentioning.
You know, to evoke a well-worn American phrase, the number of elections you've had in Israel, when it rains, it pours. Sorry, bad joke. Anyway.